the 18th of January. This is by a banned outfit, the Hizb ut-Tahrir. This outfit is banned not just in India, but in China, in United Kingdom, in many Arab countries as well. And yet, they seem to find a platform in countries like Canada. What we're learning is also that this group advocates the recreation of an Islamic Caliphate, calling for the setup of an army of Muslims. This is the kind of advocacy that this particular group does, which is why it has been banned in several countries, and yet the Canadian administration seems to be giving them an open platform to spew hate, to spew venom. Akanksha, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details on this. Yes, Akanksha.
Absolutely, as you rightly mentioned, that this is now an open platform being given by the Canadian government, which has already been accused of giving platform to forces like the Khalistani forces, not to forget the ISI as well. But this particular Caliphate conference that will be taking place is, of course, under the banner Hizb ut-Tahrir, and this will be happening on 18th of January in Hamilton. Now, remember, this is happening amid a lot of backlash that's already taking place. One that we are learning has been opposed by MPs in Canada itself. In fact, one of the mayors in Canada has also spoken out that this kind of Caliphate conference should not be permitted. Remember, there are fingers already being raised at the Justin Trudeau government and the administration for giving an open sort of hand to Khalistani forces only to appease vote bank politics. And now such a Caliphate conference happening in January, in a year which is very critical for the politics of Canada. We all know that Canada is soon going to be heading into election. The Liberals are still looking for a face to represent their party. What is Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party hoping to achieve by giving an open platform to such a Caliphate conference, which in fact has been known to be very fanatic and rigid in its views? At the same time, we are also being told that they have, of course, gone on to issue a statement where they are saying that they oppose any kind of violence. But is that enough? Because remember, this particular Caliphate conference is also, in terms of political ideologies, one that believes in opposing the West in Europe, and in fact also Europe. And they say that, you know, we believe in Allah, and that all Muslims of the world should unite in the name of Allah and oppose the West. Poonam.
Akanksha, do stay on with us. Former diplomat Achal Malhotra also joining us on this broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us. You're on CNN News 18. How do you view this kind of development that's coming to the fore from Canada? We've seen the kind of open pandering and the open, the free run that Khalistani sympathizers have been getting. Now Islamist radicals too getting a stage there.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. I think Canada is slowly becoming a land of all forbidden. You know, all such philosophies, such ideologies which pose a great deal of danger to the rest of the humanity. And as far as the Khalistan movement, the supporters of Khalistan and the patronage that they were getting from the government, particularly of Trudeau, the matter was only of mostly of concern to us. But I think this particular, you know, Islamic, the concept of reviving the Caliphate, the Islamic Caliphate, the Khalifa, the system of Khalifas, is going to raise concerns in a much wider parts of the world. And I hope there would be pressure on Canada to, to stay away from such kind of, giving the concept of freedom of expression, stretching it too far, and creating problems not only for Canada but also for the rest of the world. And hopefully there would be pressure from the European allies and Americans on Canada to refrain from this, because as I said, the Khalistan part was only of our concern, so we have been battling it. But Islamic fundamentalism has a wider opposition all over the world, and this concept is kind of an antiquated concept of uniting all the Muslim world under one rule and to be followed by Sharia law, and reviving the concept of Khalifas. These are all outdated, and particularly if they want to bring about this by using force, all the more. And I believe this particular organization which is trying to hold this conference in Canada, is banned banned by many countries, many other
And in
countries
some
in the
Arab
West
countries as well. In some Arab countries as well. That's what
yeah,
is the most
yes.
important bit. But Mr. Malhotra, I also want to ask you this: that do you think that organizations like this, like these Islamist radicals, or even Khalistani sympathizers, or even otherwise, have a free run in Canada, now seem to be trying to take advantage of this political vacuum that the country is seeing ever since Justin Trudeau has decided to vacate office? The hunt for the next leader is on. But even before that, for the last few months at least, pressure has been mounting on him. For him, perhaps, and his administration, the priorities were to ensure that their chair was safe, and they could not have really looked at any of this. Is that something that these groups seem to be taking advantage of?
Well, I don't think because you see the Khalistan movement has been there for quite some time. In between, there were ISIS activists were also seen operating in Canada, and this vacuum. I don't even think there is a vacuum in the sense. It's just the leader of a particular ruling party who's going to step down. There would be some other leader, and soon there would be elections. And I think the Liberal government should all the more be on the guard because very soon they have to go and face the electorate. What will be their legacy? If what will be Trudeau's legacy or the Liberal Party's legacy for having ruled Canada for the last 10 years? Are they going to give a message that when they left, when they are going into a new election, the country is full of unwanted elements, either in one part of the world or in several parts of the world. So I think the Liberals must address this issue very seriously because their reputation is at stake.
Absolutely.
And on a
lighter
side, let me add, for this only reason, I would won't mind if Donald Trump succeeds in making it 51st state of America. At least he will be more careful in handling these elements in Canada. Well, that's on a lighter note.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Achal Malhotra, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Tirupati also joining us with this broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking with us here, sir. Your first reaction to this kind of platform that's now been given to Islamist radicals as well in Canada?
The Islamic radicals were in Canada, present in Canada earlier, but in a very minuscule type of presence was there. But now that the government Justin Trudeau has resigned, so there is no vacuum. But the only thing what there is they emboldened by the presence and dominance of NDP, that is Khalistani Party of Jagmeet Singh. They probably thought it very potent, very important and very opportune time to establish something and try to address the conference. So it is yet another attempt by this Hizbul Tahrir to show Canadians that look, we are also present here, not only the Khalistani movement. So that is what they want. They want to grab attention. So they know that it will not be easy for them to develop their presence and their modus operandi from there very soon. So I don't think that there is much to bother about it, and especially if the rightist government of Poilievre comes, which is most likely, then certainly they will have to run for their lives, because with rightist government they won't tolerate any terrorist activities in their life. Yes.
Mr. Tirupati, so like you said, maybe it's not a cause of concern just as yet, but should India still be wary, perhaps be prepared with a response?
India should watch and be prepared for the response. That's what I will say. We should not be worried about that. It is not the time to get worried right now. But at the same time, we should not keep our guards off. We should be prepared that in any eventuality, if they try to operate from India, we should have proper reaction. We should have proper retaliation and properly handle this outrage.
Tirupati, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. The Canadian administration has much to look into as far as giving a platform to Islamist radicals, to organizations that have been banned in multiple countries around the world is concerned. But that's not the only headache for the administration in Canada or the leader who takes over from Justin Trudeau as the next Prime Minister, because another piece of information that's now trickling in from Canada is to do with the investigation and the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canadian Supreme Court, in fact, decided to release all 4 accused on bail after lack of evidence was pointed out during the trial. There were delays, there was not sufficient evidence that was provided by the police, which is why the Supreme Court has decided that all 4 accused in this particular case who were charge-sheeted in November last year will now be released on bail. There will also be a stay on proceedings until there is any further movement on that investigation. What we're learning from our sources within the Indian government is that not only does this put the Canadian administration in an embarrassing position, it also vindicates India's stand that India has been maintaining all along that this was just the Trudeau administration pandering to Khalistani sympathizers by making a hue and cry about this case, by blaming India for it without an ounce of proof. Akanksha joining us, getting us more details. Akanksha, what else have you gathered from your sources within the intelligence agencies here in India?
Right. What we are learning is that the 4 accused who have been released on bail are Karan Brar, Amandeep Singh, Kamalpreet Singh and Karanpreet Singh. And in fact, there's been a stay on the proceedings as they've now been granted bail. Sources who have been accessing those documents clearly go on to share the fact that N has been mentioned on these documents, which means that they are no longer in custody. That also means that these 4 accused can now move out freely. Nonetheless, there's going to be a next hearing which will be at the British Columbia Supreme Court in February. We are being told that it's been slated for 11th of February. But let's, Poonam, also look at it in the larger context, which is that it's arrived as a massive setback to the Canadian government, because these 4 accused have been granted bail only on the grounds because the RCMP or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police has been unable to provide any sort of evidence during these proceedings. And not only were these proceedings in fact delayed, but there was also a lack of evidence, which the court in Canada that's granted them bail has also highlighted that due to lack of evidence, these 4 accused have been granted bail. Now that brings us to the questions of what did Justin Trudeau mean when he was talking about that Indian government and its officials were behind the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. What did Justin Trudeau mean when he said that he had intel input? Was that an indication that there was evidence when he did receive that intel input? In fact, that's also led to a downgrading of diplomatic ties between New Delhi and Ottawa, simply because the Trudeau government, which is already on shaky grounds right now, has been unable to provide any sort of solid evidence to fortify this case. We'll have to wait and watch if they'll be able, the Canadian authorities, especially the RCMP, will be able to fortify their case when it reaches the British Columbia Supreme Court. But as of now, even if you look at it diplomatically, this has only weakened Justin Trudeau's position, which we already see is on shaky grounds, not to forget the kind of attacks he's receiving from the US President-elect Donald Trump already. This certainly has left Trudeau and his allies red-faced.
And it's not just about Trudeau anymore, Akanksha, isn't it? There is going to be a political vacuum. The Liberals are already looking for a new leader. So the new leader also now has to ensure that the ties that have been strained with India because of what Trudeau did, that's somewhere smoothed over as well.
Absolutely. Perhaps this is what is also the common belief within many of the Liberals who have been opposing Justin Trudeau and his political beliefs. Poonam, as you rightly highlighted, many are of the view that because of this appeasement politics or because of the vote bank politics that Justin Trudeau was resorting to, primarily the Khalistan vote bank, he's lost out on a very precious ally like India, because not only did New Delhi and Ottawa in fact share a flourishing trade relationship, there There's also a very crucial people-to-people connect between both the countries, and that is something which India has already tried to resurrect. India has said that with regards to other sort of investigations, India has always given or quoted the example of how India has been following up when it comes to the United States. Similarly, similar diplomatic channels could have been applied to India and Canada as well. India never denied that they're not willing to cooperate. They were willing to cooperate if only diplomatic channels were followed up. So perhaps whoever is going to be the new face for the Liberal Party and whoever comes next to power in Canada, whether it's going to be the Conservatives or Liberals, we don't know so far. We also know that the Canadian Parliament has been prorogued till March. So we'll have to wait and watch what will be the new sort of political beliefs of the new face that comes to the forefront for the Liberal Party. Puna.
It'll be interesting to watch that. For the moment, Akanksha, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. We'll keep a track of that and much more here on Nation at 5. But for now, it's time for a quick break.
Whenever I horrific stampede unfolded at Tirupati near the token issuance counter. Now, this has claimed the life of over 6 people yesterday. Over 40 pilgrims were injured and are being treated at the Tirupati Ruya Hospital, where protests have erupted by the grieving relatives. Now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has ordered relief measures to be implemented at the site to ensure proper care. Now, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed grief over the incident and said that the government is assisting the victims, and also the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has reacted, saying order must be restored on ground. I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Payal Mehta. Payal, we are in fact getting to know that Chandrababu Naidu is all set to visit Tirupati today. What has been his reaction to the entire incident?
Well, to begin with, Sharon, he's expressed, immense grief and, has expressed his shock at what has transpired in Tirupati last week at the ticket counter, where we are given to understand essentially when the gates were opened, there was a rush of the devotees who wanted to go inside, and that actually resulted in a stampede. Having said that, since the relief measures are already on, the injured have been rushed to hospital and are undertaking treatment. Chandrababu Naidu himself will be visiting the location at about 12 o'clock today, and he'll be meeting officials from the TTC board and also visiting the hospital to meet the injured. And that is something which is going to happen, but he's also going to be ordering a probe because such an incident is not acceptable. The occasion of, this Chaturdashi is extremely significant, and people do understand that there is a lot of rush at the temple premises during this time. So crowd management should have been better done. And where did this go wrong? He's also going to be meeting the board officials. He'll be doing a review at the location as well. So obviously a most unfortunate scene panning out last night, with about 6 people being killed and several others being injured. And everybody is monitoring the situation. The health minister has also requested that doctors should assist those people who are injured and let them leave from hospital only after they are fully recovered.
All right. I'm also, in fact, joined by PV Ramanna, who is Associate Editor with News 18 Telugu. Payal, I request you to please stay with us. Let me now go to PV Ramanna. PV Ramanna, when we talk about the entire incident and when we talk about the crowd management in Tirupati, it has always been appreciated. What really went wrong this time that this unfortunate incident happened?
So, in regard to this tragic incident which happened yesterday at Tirumala, the main reason for this is the mismanagement of the crowd, in fact. So actually for this Vaikunta Dwara Darshana, which will happen on 10th.
Welcome back to Nation at 5. The big political controversy that's brewing here in the national capital ahead of assembly elections is the fierce fight between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress. But that has now spelled trouble for the India bloc. Even as several allies, several regional satraps like the UBT Sena, the TMC and the Samajwadi Party have decided to place their bets on the Aam Aadmi Party instead of the Congress as far as the Delhi battle goes. Now there's a call being made within the bloc of whether this bloc should exist at all. Omar Abdullah was the latest one to come out and question the need for such a bloc without any clarity on leadership or intent. If this was meant to be only for the Lok Sabha elections, then maybe it's time for this alliance to wind up, was what Omar Abdullah said. A comment that was echoed by Tejasvi Yadav of the RJD too. The Congress, meanwhile, says that this is only about Delhi. Our unified aim against the BJP will continue. But is that possible? Is that a realistic alliance to hold? Well, even within the alliance, there seem to be strong murmurs that it's not anymore.
हमारा दिल्ली के इलेक्शन से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ हैं ग्राउंड पे वो तय करें कि बीजेपी का मुकाबला किस तरह से सबसे बेहतर तरीके से किया जा सकता है. इससे पहले 2 बार लगातार आम आदमी पार्टी की वहाँ पे कामयाबी रही. इस बार दिल्ली के लोग क्या फैसला करेंगे उसके लिए हमें इंतज़ार करना होगा.
ये तो पहले हम सब लोगों को, आप लोगों को समझना है. दिस इंडिया गठबंधन जो है, इंडी गठबंधन, दैट इटसेल्फ वाज अननेचुरल बिकॉज दे वर फाइटिंग. You take for example कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी इज वन ऑफ द इंडी पार्टनर. तो केरल में आपस में लड़ते हैं, वेस्ट बंगाल में लड़ते हैं. तो ये माननीय अमित शाह जी ने एक बार कहा था, आप सब लोगों को याद होगा, ये फोटो अप है, ये फोटो शूट है और कुछ नहीं है. ये तो तब लोग सब लोग कूद पड़े थे, नहीं नहीं ऐसे कैसे बोलते हैं करके. अभी वही हो रहा है.
ये एक बात है कि जो केजरीवाल साहब ने काम जो किया है दिल्ली के लिए और जो अच्छा काम किया है, जो दिल्ली का चेहरा बदला है, उसे तो कोई ना नहीं कह सकता. काम है तो उसे स्वीकारो.
वो तो विपक्ष है हमारे लिए. उनको ये भ्रम है कि पहले वो जीत गए थे 2 बार. इस बार माहौल बदला हुआ लगता मुझे. माहौल बदला हुआ है. कांग्रेस बहुत बेटर तरीके से कैंपेन कर रही है. मुझे यकीन है कि इस बार परिणाम अच्छे आ सकते हैं.
ये लोकसभा चुनाव के लिए था गठबंधन, बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं. वो जो इंडिया गठबंधन था वो लोकसभा चुनाव के लिए राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे अलग अलग राज्यों की परिस्थिति के हिसाब से जो दल हैं, कांग्रेस हो या क्षेत्रीय दल हो, वो निर्णय लेते हैं कि हमें इकट्ठे लड़ना है या अलग लड़ना है.
Now, even as there seems to be some unease within the India bloc partners, sources within the Congress are now saying that they are asking leaders in the party, in Delhi at least, to not make outright attacks against the Aam Aadmi Party. The Congress wants to maintain that the bloc, the India alliance, is still intact and its purpose is going to serve against the BJP. Pallavi, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Pallavi, what else have you gathered from your sources within the Grand Old Party?
Well, this is yet another flip-flop, and this does go on to show that the Congress party obviously is very bruised by the kind of snub that it is facing from one ally partner after another. So what we are picking up by way of our top Congress sources is that Rahul Gandhi had also mentioned this at the election committee meeting, but even now the message which has gone across is that let's not do anything which is going to help the BJP and hurt the entire India front. In fact, they said that while it is important to win elections and fight on the ground, but it should not be at the cost of empowering the BJP or actually hurting the India bloc. We are already seeing the state of disarray, and I think that disarray is going to become even more evident, Poonam, once the electoral results of Delhi comes out. Whether it's the TMC, the Samajwadi Party, AAP, all of them, RJD, all of them are very, very upset with the Congress. What Tejasvi Yadav is saying is even more disconcerting for the Congress, because it's going to have a deep impact on the seat sharing talks, because the Congress's calculation is that unlike in Delhi, at least in Bihar, they have some base, and over there they would very much want to contest a large number of seats. But voices from the ground in Bihar from the RJD are in fact telling Congress that be ready to contest on all the 243 seats, which just goes on to show that at least in Bihar elections, during the seat sharing talks, the Congress may not have its way. Having seen this kind of a setback, the Congress perhaps very belatedly is now talking about why you need to campaign aggressively, those who are contesting the election, but don't keep on attacking the AAP so much that your language is similar to that of the BJP, which helps the BJP also.
It's interesting, Pallavi, this kind of strategy, isn't it? Because the Delhi unit of the Congress party has always been against a collaboration with the Aam Aadmi party. Forget at the national level or the state level, but in general, their opposition to the Aam Aadmi party has been very clear. Now, this kind of diktat coming to the fore from the top brass of the Congress, how are those candidates of the Congress going to be reacting to this?
Well, it really makes it tough for them. I mean, remember there was an alliance, and I remember the night when Arvind Kejriwal was arrested, Sandeep Dixit, who's now contesting opposite him from the New Delhi constituency, along with Arvinder Singh Lovely, had actually gone to Mr. Kejriwal's residence and, to show that solidarity. How do you explain it to the cadre, the same workers who are perhaps working behind the scenes for Sandeep Dixit, and what is the guarantee that you may not end up giving a kind of a support again at the national level? Yes, on the ground, the Delhi Congress has been very uncomfortable with any kind of an alliance talk. As far as Punjab goes, in Punjab, it was because of pressure coming in from the state unit that the Congress central leadership had buckled and there was no alliance with AAP over there. In Delhi, a similar voice was raised. But the game over here is very different. At the national level, you agreed to have an alliance. You still wanted it at the state level. It's only when the AAP snubbed you that things went out of control. And then, there's a constant state of flip-flop which is taking place within the Congress.
The Congress seems confused. The greater good of the India bloc or the party's prospects, those seem to be the two choices, and the Congress can't seem to make up its mind. But for the moment, Pallavi, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. The political fight, meanwhile, continues because even as allies within the bloc snigger at each other, question each other's credibility and leadership qualities, the BJP seems to be having the last laugh in all of this. Listen in to some of those reactions.
हमने देखा है कि पहले समाजवादी पार्टी ने अविश्वास प्रस्ताव प्रकट किया राहुल गांधी में और आम आदमी पार्टी को सपोर्ट कर दिया। उसके बाद टीएमसी ने भी यही चीज कर दी कल, और तेजस्वी यादव ने तो कहा कि इंडिया अलायंस केवल लोकसभा के लिए था। राहुल गांधी के खिलाफ जो ये नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन है, ये बहुत समय से पारित हो रहा है। फिर पार्लियामेंट सेशन में याद होगा, समाजवादी पार्टी हो, टीएमसी हो, शरद पवार जी हो, उमर अब्दुल्ला हो, एक एक विषय पर कांग्रेस से किनारा करते गए। ये इंडी अलायंस नो मिशन नो विजन, केवल अपना अपना एम्बिशन और कंफ्यूजन है, और ये एम्बिशन और कंफ्यूजन के चलते ये लोग ढोंग तो करते हैं एक साथ होने का, पर दिल्ली में समाजवादी पार्टी, तृणमूल कांग्रेस, सब ने कांग्रेस से किनारा कर दिया है क्योंकि कांग्रेस परजीवी है। पर एक विचित्र स्थिति है कि समाजवादी पार्टी मिल्कीपुर और उत्तर प्रदेश के बायपोल में कांग्रेस के समर्थन को लेती है, और जैसे ही उत्तर प्रदेश का बॉर्डर पार करके दिल्ली में आते हैं, वहां पर कांग्रेस से किनारा करती है।
देखिए, इंडी अलायंस टूट चुका है। जैसे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने 2024 के लोकसभा चुनाव के पहले कहा था कि ये फेल्ड पॉलिटिकल पिक्चर है, फेल्ड पॉलिटिकल अलायंस है जिसका टूटना तय है। देखिए, जो आपस में लड़ते हैं उनको कभी जनता समर्थन नहीं करती। हरियाणा में ये अलायंस टूटा हुआ था, आपस में लड़े कांग्रेस, आम आदमी, समाजवादी पार्टी वाले, जनता ने विपक्ष में बैठा है। महाराष्ट्र में समाजवादी पार्टी, कांग्रेस पार्टी, उद्धव सेना एक दूसरे को आंख दिखा रही थी, विपक्ष में बैठे। दिल्ली के अंदर इन लोगों ने कांग्रेस पार्टी को आंख दिखाई, समाजवादी पार्टी कांग्रेस से लड़ रही, कांग्रेस आपसे लड़ रही है, इन सबको विपक्ष में बैठना है। क्योंकि जनता ये जानती है कि जो खुद का ही घर साथ नहीं रख सकते, वो क्या जनता का समर्थन जीतेंगे। और इसीलिए 2014 से लेकर 24 तक ये विपक्ष में बैठे, 29 में भी विपक्ष में बैठेंगे।
मैं बस यही कहूंगी, इंडिया अलायंस जो बना था वो संविधान विरोधी जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी है, प्रजातंत्र विरोधी जो बीजेपी है, उनके खिलाफ ही लड़ाई लड़ने को एक साथ हुए थे। भले ही हमारी विचारधारा अलग थी, पर
On that note, slipping into a quick break here on this edition of Nation at 5, but news and updates continue here on CNN News 18. Don't go anywhere.
Horrific stampede unfolded at Tirupati near the token issuance counter. Now, this has claimed the life of over 6 people yesterday. Over 40 pilgrims were injured and are being treated at the Tirupati Ruya Hospital, where protests have erupted by the grieving relatives. Now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has ordered relief measures to be implemented at the site to ensure proper care. Now, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed grief over the incident and said that the government is assisting the the victims. And also the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has reacted, saying order must be restored on ground. I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Payal Mehta. Payal, we are in fact getting to know that Chandrababu Naidu is all set to visit Tirupati today. What has been his reaction to the entire incident?
Well, to begin with, Sharon, he's expressed, immense grief and, has expressed his shock at what has transpired in Tirupati last week at the ticket counter, where we are given to understand essentially when the gates were opened, there was a rush of the devotees who wanted to go inside, and that actually resulted in a stampede. Having said that, since the relief measures are already on, the injured have been rushed to hospital and are undertaking treatment. Chandrababu Naidu himself will be visiting the location at about 12 o'clock today, and he'll be meeting officials from the TTC board and also visiting the hospital to meet the injured. And that is something which is going to happen, but he's also going to be ordering a probe because such an incident is not acceptable. The occasion of, this Chaturdashi is extremely significant, and people do understand that there is a lot of rush at the temple premises during this time. So crowd management should have been better done. And where did this go wrong? He's also going to be meeting the board officials. He'll be doing a review at the location as well. So obviously a most unfortunate scene panning out last night, with about 6 people being killed and several others being injured. And everybody is monitoring the situation. The health minister has also requested that doctors should assist those people who are injured and let them leave from hospital only after they are fully recovered.
All right. I'm also, in fact, joined by PV Ramanna, who is Associate Editor with News 18 Telugu. Payal, I request you to please stay with us. Let me now go to PV Ramanna. PV Ramanna, when we talk about the entire incident and when we talk about the crowd management in Tirupati, it has always been appreciated. What really went wrong this time that this unfortunate incident happened?
In regard to this tragic incident which happened yesterday at Tirumala, the main reason for this is the mismanagement of the crowd, in fact. So actually for this Vaikunta Dwara Darshana, which will happen on 10th of this month, there is a Vaikunta Ekadashi, a lot of crowd was expected, in fact. Almost the temple authorities expected that there will be crowd around 1.2 lakh to 1.5 lakh people every day for 10 days, in fact. So accordingly, they wanted to make the arrangements and to issue the tokens from today morning. There were set up some counters in the different places of Tirumala and Tirupati. In the temple, in the ticket issuing counter where the Ramanaidu school was there, there was one ticket issuing point was there. Unfortunately, there were almost 4,000 to 5,000 people were gathered to get the tokens from that particular place. So unfortunately, what happened? One devotee who came for the darshan was sick at the time. The temple authority, who is managing the health kind of a things, that doctor went to treat.
Thank you for staying with us. We are in election season here in the national capital, and several parties have raised concerns about voter IDs that have been issued to several illegal Bangladeshis and Rohingyas. So much so that the Delhi LG had even ordered an investigation. Police were conducting raids and checks across certain areas which are believed to be these particular refugee camps. Many of them were found to be fake. Many of them were deported back to their country of origin. Most of them were Bangladeshis. Now, this is a racket that has been busted by the Delhi police, and the investigation in that continues. How easy is it to get a fake Aadhaar card or a fake birth certificate here in Delhi? Well, it's very easy, and it's cost affordable, many would say. You can get a fake Aadhaar card for about 20 rupees here in the national capital, and that's how so many people have been living here illegally, is what the Delhi police believes. How exactly is this racket running? How exactly are these illegals entering into India? My colleague Arvind Srivastav found this out for us.
Recently, Delhi police got two websites blocked. One was called Janta Prints, another Bharat Seva. Now, these websites allowed people to print fake voter IDs, Aadhaar cards, 10th and 12th class certificates, even other documents that are required to avail government services. And that too at throwaway prices of rupees 5, 10, 15, 2, 3, at the max 20 or 30 rupees. This is how one of the websites looked before it was banned by Delhi police. And according to Delhi police data, before being blocked, these two websites have printed around 3 lakh birth certificates, over 20,000 Aadhaar cards, 10,000 voter IDs, more than 3,000 class 10th and class 12th certificates, and over 3,500 PAN cards. But why these staggering figures have got the security agencies alarmed? It is because all these 3 lakh people who have obtained fake birth certificate through such websites can now easily get made their Aadhaar cards and then open bank accounts, get a PAN card or even a voter ID.
This Pandora's box was opened during an investigation into a murder in Delhi's Sangam Vihar last year. It led to the arrest of 4 people, all of them Bangladeshis, living illegally in Delhi. Fake documents recovered from them prompted the police to probe the larger nexus. Till date, police have made over a dozen arrests in this case, and at least 7 Bangladeshis have been deported. Delhi's Lieutenant Governor set the ball rolling to identification and deportation of many such illegal immigrants, both Bangladeshis and Rohingyas. Police recovered fake Aadhaar cards, PAN cards, multiple bank accounts, even applications for passports based on these fake documents, and most interestingly, at least 5 voter IDs. 4 of these voter IDs that were issued in 2021 are registered in Delhi's Sangam Vihar seat. One was of Badshah Nagar seat in Gurugram.
एक वेबसाइट है जनताप्रिंट्स.in जहां पे ये लोग 20-20 रुपए में अपने फर्जी डेट ऑफ बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट्स, इनकम सर्टिफिकेट्स बनवा लेते थे। इस टाइप का इनका एक रेट कार्ड था फर्जी वेबसाइट पे, ये कि 7 रुपए में आप कोविड सर्टिफिकेट ले लें या इनकम सर्टिफिकेट ले लें, इस टाइप की इन्होंने पूरी वेबसाइट चला रखी थी। एक तो इनका नेक्सस है जो भारत में जंगल के रास्ते ये लोग आते हैं और वहां से ट्रेन से ट्रैवल करके या फिर बसों से ट्रैवल करके ये लोग दिल्ली पहुंचते हैं। हमने साउथ डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जो उसके बाद ड्राइव चलाई, हमने हमारे को सेल्टू शेख के घर से 4 नकली वोटर कार्ड भी मिले थे, 21 आधार कार्ड मिले थे और 6 पैन कार्ड मिले थे। हमने इनकी फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रहे हैं कि किससे कैसे कैसे चीजें बनी हैं। एक नीचे क्यूआर कोड का प्रावधान कर रखा है, क्यूआर कोड स्कैन करेंगे तो एक वेबसाइट खुलती है जो कि हूबहू गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट टाइप लगती है, बट उसका लिंक अलग है, तो लोगों को लगता है कि ऑथेंटिक है, बट ये ऑथेंटिक नहीं है।
Worryingly, Delhi police has not been able to establish whether these people who had been having a voter ID since 2021 participated in 2023 Lok Sabha elections or not. It has not also been estimated how many such Bangladeshis are out there who have procured such voter IDs fraudulently. But with Delhi elections upcoming, the biggest question is, can such fake voters be used for proxy voting? Also, who is behind this nexus of Bangladeshis making them as eligible voters in Delhi or elsewhere in India?
This investigation took the Delhi police 1800 kilometers to the Meghalaya-Bangladesh border. Police found that all these illegals had travelled from Bangladesh to Baghmara into Meghalaya or from areas like Hakimpur in West Bengal with the help of organised gangs active on both sides of the border. In September last year, CNN News 18 tracked down such active rackets to the Indo-Bangladesh border and recorded shocking testimonies that backed the claims of law enforcement agencies.
দালালের মাধ্যমে আসছে, দালাল নিয়ে আসছে নদী পার করে, 17 আসছে।
उनको भेज दूंगा, 15,000 बांग्लादेशी टाका देना पड़ेगा, वो तो दुकानदार है।
In their latest investigation, Delhi police have also confirmed that it is agents on both sides of the border that facilitate these Bangladeshis and are well connected to their men in bigger cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata. With elections in Delhi just around the corner, the spotlight is back on this issue. As the threat of illegals raises concerns over security, investigating agencies are working around the clock to find the missing pieces in this jigsaw puzzle.
Anvit, my colleague who got us that super exclusive news break, that investigation, is now joining us here on this edition. Anvit, we've heard what the police had to say. The investigation is ongoing, but do they believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, certainly. See, the numbers are staggering, and if we believe what the police have investigated so far, and the fact that they've come out with 2 websites that have been blocked, they have so far, if we talk about the police figures, have published more than 3 lakh birth certificates that were fake. Based on that, at least 20,000 Aadhaar cards, 10,000 voter IDs, and other COVID vaccination certificates, 10th and 12th class matriculation certificates and related documents. More than 6,000 such documents have been printed using these fake websites. Now, police have blocked these websites, but there are many such websites functioning out there, up and running even as we speak right now. Police's concern is that when these Bangladeshis were arrested, at least 7 of them have been deported so far. 7 have been arrested regarding a murder case. From them, when their documents were checked, 5 voter IDs were recovered. Now, what is surprising is that out of these 5 voter IDs, all of them were found listed as eligible voters, eligible Indian voters, I should say, and they were registered in 4 in Sangamvihar constituency of Delhi, 1 in Badshahnagar constituency of Gurugram. So, police also suspect that since these voter IDs particularly were issued in 2021, there were Lok Sabha elections in 2024 in India, and there is a possibility that these Bangladeshis could have voted as eligible Indian voters in those elections. And with upcoming Delhi election, the biggest question is, could these voters or many other such voters who are out there, currently living out there, can they be used as proxy voters in upcoming elections? So, crackdown has been tightened. LG also recently gave an order to crack down on Bangladeshis and illegal immigrants. That is also being done. But that said and done, all this dates back to when we had started our own investigation from Bangladesh border, and we had also found that how agents are active on both sides, and they have been facilitating these infiltrators, providing them documents, and then settling them in metropolitan cities of India. Recent investigation by the Delhi police have come out with similar details, and therefore this racket certainly we can say is not only compromising with India's internal security, but also the elections that are being manipulated, or we can say that the voters who are not Indians can be voting in elections, upcoming elections, or which have happened recently.
Now, Anvit, there seems to be a trend as far as this investigation goes. Most of them seem to be Bangladeshi nationals. There were concerns about Rohingya refugees here in the national capital as well. Any details that you could find on that front during your investigation?
See, many of these could be Rohingyas also, is what Delhi police suspect, but because their I-cards and documents that were recovered from them, that were from Bangladesh, so they are said to be Bangladeshi nationals. But even Rohingyas, if you talk about what the rackets that are going on in Bangladesh or in Myanmar, many of them pass over from Myanmar into Bangladesh and then get documents made, like it is happening from Bangladesh border into India. So that is also happening on the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. So these could be many of the Myanmaris who had come into first Bangladesh, then got their documents made, stayed there for a few years or months, and then crossed over into India, because India is one country in this region that is, we can say, financially doing well if compared to be it Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh or Myanmar that have recently gotten into turmoil and financial disturbances. So India is one place where they think that they can earn well and get a good living, better living out of whatever jobs they do. So that is one reason why their journey could have started from Myanmar, then they came into Bangladesh, and then entered India finally. But police are looking into it. Police have also written to UIDAI to find out which documents were submitted to make Aadhaar cards for Aadhaar cards by these Bangladeshis. They have also written to Election Commission to requesting them to first of all cut down their names from the voters list, and to also find out what documents were submitted and who were the officers who, if any, facilitated them in making these fake documents.
Right, Anvit, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front, and the investigation that has blown the lid off a concern that should be one not just for Delhi but for the entire country, because the national security could be at stake given how porous some of our borders are. We'll keep a track of that and much more here on Nation at 5, but slipping into a quick break. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Horrific stampede unfolded at Tirupati near the token issuance counter. Now, this has claimed the life of over 6 people yesterday. Over 40 pilgrims were injured and are being treated at the Tirupati Ruya Hospital, where protests have erupted by the grieving relatives. Now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has ordered relief measures to be implemented at the site to ensure proper care. Now, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed grief over the incident and said that the government is assisting the victims. And also the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has reacted, saying order must be restored on ground. I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Payal Mehta. Payal, we are in fact getting to know that Chandrababu Naidu is all set to visit Tirupati today. What has been his reaction to the entire incident?
Well, to begin with, Sharon, he's expressed, immense grief and, has expressed his shock at what has transpired in Tirupati last week at the ticket counter, where we are given to understand essentially when the gates were opened, there was a rush of the devotees who wanted to go inside, and that actually resulted in a stampede. Having said that, since the relief measures are already on, the injured have been rushed to hospital and are undertaking treatment. Chandrababu Naidu himself will be visiting the location at about 12 o'clock today, and he'll be meeting officials from the TTC board and also visiting the hospital to meet the injured. And that is something which is going to happen, but he's also going to be ordering a probe because such an incident is not acceptable. The occasion of, this Chaturdashi is extremely significant, and people do understand that there is a lot of rush at the temple premises during this time. So crowd management should have been better done. And where did this go wrong? He's also going to be meeting the board officials. He'll be doing a review at the location as well. So obviously a most unfortunate scene panning out last night with about 6 people being killed and several others being injured. And everybody is monitoring the situation. The health minister has also requested that doctors should assist those people who are injured and let them leave from hospital only after they are fully recovered.
All right. I'm also, in fact, joined by PV Ramanna, who is Associate Editor with News 18 Telugu. Payal, I request you to please stay with us. Let me now go to PV Ramanna. PV Ramanna, when we talk about the entire incident and when we talk about the crowd management in Tirupati, it has...
Thank you for staying with us. We have some breaking news that's now coming in. This is to do with the talks that are ongoing between Indian delegation and the Afghan administration, which is run by the Taliban. Sources within the intelligence agencies here in India have told CNN News 18 that the meeting between the Foreign Secretary of India, Mr. Misri, and the acting Taliban Foreign Minister is a routine diplomatic meeting. It is going to be reviewing the next step in the relationship between the two countries. Sources say that this is a positive engagement and is developing as Taliban and Pakistan seem to be engaging in a bitter battle of its own. India is going to be deeply affected with what transpires there, which is why New Delhi is keeping a close watch. That is something that is going to be of key focus in this particular meeting. Akanksha, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details on this. Akanksha, what more can you tell us about this meeting?
All right. So we are also learning that this meeting happened between India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and the acting Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan. And what we are learning right now is that this is also a meeting which was meant to foster development and also provide aid to Afghanistan, which also perhaps is an indication that India's stance is now softening towards Taliban. There are quite a host of factors if one were to delve deep into it. One is, of course, that China is now trying to sort of seize and make sure that they also utilize the resources through the project as far as the Belt and Road Initiative of Beijing is concerned. At the same time, we've seen a weakened Iran. Russia is already busy with its war with Ukraine. And so Afghanistan right now is a very vulnerable, fragile territory, also open to ISI activities, as we've already seen how Pakistan has been conducting those airstrikes. But what India also respects is that the Taliban has ensured that the Afghan soil is not utilized by the ISIS, especially ISIS Khorasan province, which has been very notorious, and Taliban has continued to sort of take that stand against ISIS. At the same time, we've seen how the consulate in Mumbai, as far as the Taliban consulate is concerned, has not been allowed by the Indian government to use its official Taliban flag. In fact, till now, the flag that's been hoisted on the consulate there is of the Republic of Afghanistan. So India, that's not an indication that India is officially acknowledging Taliban, but this is rather a softening of stance. Also goes on to talk about the role that's being played by the United Arab Emirates, because given that this meeting happened in Dubai, is also an indication that perhaps India is now open to a dialogue with Taliban. Are we going to officially recognize them is something we'll have to wait and watch. Poonam.
So far, no official recognition of Taliban as such, but this is a step in the positive direction is what many within the intelligence circles here in India believe. It's also extremely important for us to maintain relations with Afghanistan, because Pakistan, which lies in the midst of the two, is going to be a pesky neighbor for both of us. So it's in the interest of India to keep Afghanistan on our side, perhaps engage with them a little more than we have.
Absolutely, Poonam, because remember what we are seeing happen in India's neighborhood, whether it is between Afghanistan and Pakistan or the disturbances that are happening in Bangladesh, especially with minorities, considering Hindus, India has to now tread very cautiously. And the fact that I was also highlighting how Afghanistan right now is untapped territory. The US the West largely, including Europe and India, have withdrawn diplomatically out of Afghanistan, which could also perhaps give a free hand to terrorist elements like ISIS Khorasan province as well. So as we all already know that Beijing is trying to make inroads into Afghanistan. How that now pans out is something we'll have to see. Taliban has already, opened its doors to China's intervention. They've been very appreciative of China. Not to forget that Beijing has also lifted that freeze on Afghan banks' assets overseas. So there's already a softening of relationship between Taliban and China. China was, in fact, one of the initial nations that had acknowledged Taliban. At the same time, Iran is in a very weakened position given Israel's own intervention as far as the disturbances in Middle East are concerned. So for India right now to tread cautiously and perhaps maybe maintain civil ties with Taliban, if not even acknowledge them diplomatically, is very crucial. Poonam.
It'll be important to see where the ties from here go on. But for the moment, Akanksha, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Time for a quick break on this edition of Nation at 5. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Horrific stampede unfolded at Tirupati near the token issuance counter. Now, this has claimed the life of over 6 people yesterday. Over 40 pilgrims were injured and are being treated at the Tirupati Ruya Hospital, where protests have erupted by the grieving relatives. Now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has ordered relief measures to be implemented at the site to ensure proper care. Now, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed grief over the incident and said that the government is assisting the victims. And also the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has reacted, saying order must be restored on ground. I'm now joined by CNN News 18's Payal Mehta. Payal, we are in fact getting to know that Chandrababu Naidu is all set to visit Tirupati today. What has been his reaction to the entire incident?
Well, to begin with, Sharon, he's expressed, immense grief and, has expressed his shock at what has transpired in Tirupati last week at the ticket counter, where we are given to understand essentially when the gates were opened, there was a rush of the devotees who wanted to go inside, and that actually resulted in a stampede. Having said that, since the relief measures are already on, the injured have been rushed to hospital and are undertaking treatment. Chandrababu Naidu himself will be visiting the location at about 12 o'clock today, and he will be meeting officials from the TTD board and also visiting the hospital to meet the injured. And that is something which is going to happen, but he's also going to be ordering a probe because such an incident is not acceptable. The occasion of, this Chaturdashi is extremely significant, and people do understand that there is a lot of rush at the temple premises during this time. So crowd management should have been better done. And where did this go wrong? He's also going to be meeting the board officials. He'll be doing a review at the location as well. So obviously a most unfortunate scene panning out last night, with about 6 people being killed and several others being injured. And everybody is monitoring the situation. The health minister has also requested that doctors should assist those people who are injured and let them leave from hospital only after they are fully recovered.
All right. I'm also, in fact, joined by PV Ramanna, who is Associate Editor with News 18 Telugu. Payal, I request you to please stay with us. Let me now go to PV Ramanna. PV Ramanna, when we talk about the entire incident and when we talk about the crowd management in Tirupati, it has always been appreciated. What really went wrong this time that this unfortunate incident happened?
So, in regard to this tragic incident which happened yesterday at Tirumala, the main reason for this is the mismanagement of the crowd, in fact. So actually for this Vaikunta Dwara Darshana, which will happen on 10th of this month, that is a Vaikunta Ekadashi, a lot of crowd was expected, in fact. Almost the temple authorities expected that there will be crowd around 1.2 lakh to 1.5 lakh people every day for 10 days, in fact. So accordingly, they wanted to make the arrangements and to issue the tokens from today morning. There were set up some counters in the different places of Tirumala and Tirupati. In the temple, in the ticket issuing counter where the Ramanaidu school was there, there was one ticket issuing point was there. Unfortunately, there are almost 4,000 to 5,000 people were gathered to get the tokens from that particular place. So unfortunately, what happened? One devotee who came for the darshan was sick at the time. The temple authority who is managing the health kind of a things, that doctor went to treat, open the gates to treat that patient. In fact, so suddenly the people who was waiting, who gathered there for the tokens, was felt that there is already issued the tickets. At that time, all the people together to take the tokens. In fact, to stay in the queue line. So in that instance, the entire this tragic incident was happened. At the spot, 5 people were died, and another person is very seriously injured and is taking treatment in the Ruya hospital in Tirupati. So all the rescue operations is in place. Already, the Chief Minister.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nation at 5. We have some breaking news that's now coming in. This is to do with the stampede in Tirupati, where unfortunately 6 lives were lost in that late night stampede that took place at the temple yesterday. Deputy Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Pawan Kalyan, was at the hospital just a short while ago. Chandrababu Naidu met with victims of the kin and those injured at the hospital as well. Pawan Kalyan there, as he exited the hospital, trying to make some announcements. We'll try and get you more details of that. But the state government has assured all support to the victims of the injured. Ex gratia has been announced for the kin of the victims as well. Purnima, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Purnima, any details of what Pawan Kalyan was saying right outside the hospital there?
Well, in fact,
హాస్పిటల్కి వెళ్ళాను, అందరితో మాట్లాడాను. కొంతమంది కుటుంబ సభ్యుల్ని, వాళ్ళ గ్రామస్తుల్ని, బంధువులు పోగొట్టుకున్న ఉన్నారు హాస్పిటల్. ఇంకా వాళ్ళతో కూడా మాట్లాడాను. తర్వాత వచ్చి ఆఫీసులో కూడా కొంత సమీక్ష చేశాను. నేను అన్ని విధాలా, అన్ని కోణాల్లో నాకు సమాచారం ఉంటే దాన్ని బట్టి ఎలాంటి సంఘటనలు పునరావృతం కాకుండా ఉండడానికి ఎలాంటి నిర్ణయాలు చేస్తే దోహదం చేస్తాయో అలాంటి నిర్ణయాలు చేయాలనేది నా ఉద్దేశం. నేను ఏం చేసినా కూడా నా మనస్సాక్షిగా ఈ దివ్య క్షేత్రాన్ని మళ్ళీ పవిత్రత కాపాడడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాను. అందుకని ఈరోజు కొన్ని నిర్ణయాలు తీసుకుంటూ కొన్ని డైరెక్షన్ కూడా ఇస్తున్నాను. అదే మరి బోర్డు చైర్మన్ ఉన్నాడు, ఈఓ ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళు కూడా ఈ మెంబర్ కూడా ఉన్నారు. చాలా స్పష్టంగా ఆదేశాలు ఇస్తున్నాను. డిస్కస్ చేసి నేను చెప్పిన నిర్ణయాలు కరెక్ట్ అని బోర్డు కూడా భావిస్తే వాళ్ళు అవన్నీ అమలు చేస్తారు.
The decisions we are making, the board will follow it.
ఈ పవిత్ర క్షేత్రం
It's very precious and
పొగతో కానీ, మన యొక్క అసమర్థతో కానీ, లేకపోతే అనాలోచనమైన ఆలోచనలతో కానీ మనం చేసిన పనుల వల్ల దేవుని యొక్క పవిత్రత దెబ్బతినే పరిస్థితి వస్తే అది కరెక్ట్ కాదు.
The God holiness should not
తప్పు. రెండోది, అందరం కలిసి ఇక్కడ దేవునికి సేవ చేస్తున్నాము అనేది ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి రావాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. ఇక్కడ రాజకీయాలు కూడా చేయడానికి వీలు లేదు.
You have to take collective decisions.
రాజకీయాలకు అతీతంగా కలియుగ వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి, కలియుగ దేవుడికి మనం సేవ చేస్తున్నాం అనే భావంతో అందరం ముందుకు పోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది.
Irrespective of the politics,
చాలా ఒత్తిళ్లు ఉంటాయి. ఎందుకంటే ప్రపంచంలో జెరూసలం వెళ్తారు క్రిస్టియన్స్, మక్కాకి వెళ్తారు ముస్లిమ్స్. హిందూస్ అంతా జీవితంలో వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి దగ్గరికి వచ్చి దర్శనం చేసుకోవాలని కోరుకుంటారు. వైకుంఠ ఏకాదశి రోజు రావాలని అందరూ కూడా వాళ్ళ జీవితంలో ఒక పెద్ద దీక్ష. ఎందుకంటే ఈరోజు వస్తే నేరుగా
having the
ద్వారం
darshan of
ద్వారా
Lord Balaji.
దేవుని దర్శనం చేసుకునే అవకాశం వస్తుంది. ఇది చేస్తే మనం స్వర్గానికి పోతామని ఒక నమ్మకం. ఆ నమ్మకంతో అందరికి కూడా చాలామందితో నేను మాట్లాడాను. 10 సార్లు వచ్చారు, 12 సార్లు వచ్చారు, 13 సార్లు వచ్చారు. ఇక్కడ జరిగినప్పుడు కూడా సంఘటన నేను
I spoke to many people in the hospital and as well as in
గడిచిన 5 సంవత్సరాలుగా 4-5 సంవత్సరాలుగా ఎప్పుడు లేని సాంప్రదాయం తిరుపతిలో తీసుకొచ్చి టోకన్స్ ఇవ్వడం. అందరి మనోభావాలు ఏమున్నాయంటే మేము కొండపైన ఉన్నప్పుడు క్యూ లైన్లో 36 గంటలైనా 45 గంటలైనా ఉంటాం. వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామిని అక్కడ ఉండే టీవీలు కూడా చూసుకొని మేము నైమికమయ్యి దేవుని సేవలో ఉంటాం, దేవుని సన్నిధిలో ఉంటాం. అది వాళ్ళకు ఒక తృప్తి.
people feel that
కానీ
even in the
తీసుకొచ్చారో ఇది కరెక్ట్, మాకు కరెక్ట్ అనిపించలేదు.
A very good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Kritsween Walia. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime studio presented by Green Lamb Laminates. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems with each passing election, the infighting within the opposition bloc is also intensifying. It's a trend we witnessed in Haryana elections, Maharashtra elections, and a trend we're witnessing